Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I wanted to start record, and I think I shared the screen. Yeah. Well, I think we can start. Thank you for everybody to be here. This is IterateUX for the new ones. We have weekly meetings, we have design challenge, and we are creating new products and new programs for people. So it's going to be really good, really practical community for you to be in Discord, to be in the weekly meeting, to be participating in all all programs we are offering soon, right? And as I mentioned, we have Discord for new ones that we share really good materials, resources. We connect with other. Is totally active community. So if you have any questions, if you want to get some design advice or a review for your portfolio, you can go there and you can ask people, and we are really engageable people. So you are totally open to do that. And in the same time, for design challenge presentations, I am going to put here the next meetings, the presentation, right? Because for new ones, we have design challenge where we create a group, different groups from different members to create a application. And in August, they are going to present in that terms in August 5th, Wednesday, and weekly meeting Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. The group 8 is going to present a different topic than the second one and the third and the fourth one, right? In August 12th, is the group 6 is going to present. In August 19th is going to present the group 7 with different topic. And in August 17th, that is Saturday, 11 a.m., the group 1, because we have Europe people here, so we need to accommodate the time to be able to them to expose correctly, right? Yeah, and for new ones, I believe I'm not sure how many people goes last meeting, or last month in Happy Hour Friday, but we normally have Happy Hour Fridays for last Friday of each month to really connect with others. The idea is to hang out with designers from different countries, different cities, and this event is going to happen this Friday if you want to participate and really connect with others, right? And the idea is to connect, to speak with others, and try to make it fun, right? And in the end, the most important thing is this kind of weekly meetings. We can break the ice with attendance, because it's like try to make it more friendly and happy for speakers to have members speaking and asking, without problem. So for today, we are having Zaid. Thank you, Zaid, for your time. I'm going to give you, okay. Yeah, thank you for your time, for being awesome and helping here with the community, and we appreciate so much your knowledge, and I think the people are going to enjoy so much this time too. So you can introduce yourself and introduce your topic today.
Okay. Hi, yeah, my name is Zaid. I am an interaction designer. I also sort of made the switch from graphic design, like actually print design, to UX, and I kind of just did it on the job. I just kept getting hired, doing contract roles, full-time, back and forth. And like along the way, I wrote a lot of notes. So a, a, a lot of the stuff I talk about in this group is based off of those notes. So yeah.
Okay, great. You can share your screen if you want.
Okay.
Just let me know what you need, and yeah.
Okay.
If
All right.
any,
Cool.
just an advice. If you have
Mhm.
any, just for the people, right, and not just for you, because your mind is awesome. For me, it's like great to having you here, and for people, it's good to have notes or ask question in the chat. Yeah, you can start whenever you want. You are on mute.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let's see. Share desktop. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Mm-hmm. We can say that.
Can you see it? Okay. All right, cool. Like I said, when I hear something that I, I find useful or like interesting, I'll make a note of it and then I'll go home and I'll look it up and see if it's something that I can put into my toolkit. And this sort of concept is one of those, is one of several sort of interaction design thinking skills or maybe prompts um, that will help you get started with a design faster. Um, it'll make your designs simpler, like less interface and easier to use. Okay. Um, and it's called the interaction primitive. Primitive. So I just want to just uh, make this clear. This is not what people think of like as design thinking, that thing that got really popular in business magazines maybe 10 years ago. This is just in the world of honestly like wireframing, going to the whiteboard, you know, the 80% of what a UX person actually does, right? Which is interaction design. Okay. But it is once you can uh, wrap your head around these tools like magic. This was a game I played when I was a little kid called Shinobi. And you could do this one thing once you got a certain amount of points together, and it kills all the bad guys on the screen. And um, when you're good at thinking about user problems and thinking out loud, either on paper or in some app or on the whiteboard, it's the same thing. You can handle or you can solve several user problems at the same time. Okay. So, what are the problems that we are trying to deal with? And for us doing UX is we're trying to get done faster because we're always sort of um, behind the ball, and we're always trying to catch up. We also want to have an easier way of where do I start? Where do I start? Right, both in a new design and in fixing an existing design. That's also a very common is that you join a team, they're already working on a project, and they're now going to assign you stories. Okay. What exactly do I iterate on? What do I spend my time and energy getting right? Okay. Focus, same thing. Also, just how to be productive. For users, what this helps you with is getting the least amount of UI needed for them to perform an action, right? I wasn't sure what to put on this. This is still very rough, so I just put everything. But I'm gonna try to blast through these so we can get to actual examples, okay? Now, I found this out overhearing a design talk or hearing people talk through a particular design problem. And I heard this word, the person kept bringing up, this concept of the interaction primitive. And I was like, what does that mean? So I went home and I looked it up, and literally the only web page on the internet is this one. It's the only one. You don't find it anywhere else. Anyway, I read the whole, blog post, and I was like, that's actually really helpful. Like, really helpful. I'm really glad that I listen to people, That's one of my skills. I just listen and I take notes. So here is what this guy, Sri Datta, I think says. What is a primitive? A primitive is a fundamental building block from which you can build more complicated things, okay? And the best examples are Twitter and Minecraft, and we're gonna talk about those two today. All right, so I tried to create my own meanings for what this concept is, right? So the three ideas I came up with, I'm like, okay, well, you can think of it as like the base unit of a design model. So that's one idea. The other idea is it's the 20% of the interface that solves 80% of your IXD problems. And the third idea was it's the ball that gets tossed around, right? In 80% of your user flows. Best examples: Twitter, Minecraft, Uber, Lyft, Facebook, Trello. So Twitter, what's Twitter made of? It is made up of tweets. If you think of every single page on it, it's some vector. It's some way to organize tweets, either by topic, trending, hashtag. Your personal profile is a list of tweets. That's all it is. It's a list of tweets. Maybe there's some extra details like your picture and your name and where you live. But the essence of it is just a list of tweets. Search is a list of tweets. That's all it is, right? So you can think about it as just a tweet. Then you can start there. Twitter is tweets. Everything else is a list of tweets. That's it. That's where you start. Then you add on details after that. A thread, again, is just a list of tweets, all right? Somebody posts something, then somebody comments on the comment, all right? And there's a little line in each tweet that says, oh, I'm talking to so-and-so, this comment, or this retweet, right? Minecraft is the best idea, or it is the best example. You have blocks. And when you mine, you're asking one question: what blocks do I get when I hit this tree? What kind of blocks do I get? I get birch, I get cedar, I get this kind of, I get food or whatever, right? I don't play Minecraft, but my kids do. Then you craft. You have one question: what blocks do I need to craft a boat, or to craft a bow and arrow, right? And it makes sense it has sort of internal sense. It makes sense in its own world, right? So even the tools to get blocks are crafted from other blocks, right? So even to make like an axe, you need blocks. So what this does is that it cuts down on the onboarding. It makes learning Minecraft really fast, really fast. And the adoption is very high because it's easy to learn. Now, it's not always obvious. Uber and Lyft, it's a two-sided experience. You have drivers, you have somebody who drives a car, you have drivers, and then somebody who needs a ride, all right, riders. Yet the interaction uh, primitive is the U and UI is cars on a map. It's cars on a map. Part of the reason is because cars is easy, right? It's easy because the system makes the choice for you. You aren't choosing a driver. So it doesn't show you drivers. The system shows you, hey, here's cars on a map. We're gonna try to pick the car for you that we think will get you to wherever you're going faster. Okay. So how fast can we get you picked up, and then how fast can we get you to wherever you're going? And everything else is just details: proximity to driver, time to pick up, DMV details, license plate, for example, and then the name of the driver. Facebook, everything is a post, right? Is this starting to make sense? Because I feel like I put too much in here. Can people just tell me if this is beginning to make sense or not?
Yeah, it makes
Yeah?
sense.
Makes sense?
It's good.
Okay.
It's good
Okay.
stuff.
All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to read everything, but you get the point. Facebook, everything is a post. Feeds are lists of posts along order of submission. Profiles are a list of posts by one person. That's all it is. Groups are a list of posts by a group of people. That's all it is. Okay. Let's see. Trello. So one of the cool things, if you can learn this sort of concept, it's just a concept. It's a way of thinking about getting started on a design. All right. Is users can then make up their own ways of working with it. Trello is a good example of that. So Trello, you can write a book, you can sort of do sort of agile software projects, or you can do household chores, right? Very easy to use. And it's just cards, live in lists along a vector, and that's totally up to you. And then boards or groups of lists, and that's it. But yeah, you can click on the card, open the card, then you can add text, to-do lists. You can add people to it. You can assign it to people. You can assign certain things to people. You can make your own color coding system. So I used to work on a whole team that did everything in this app. Everything, all work was in here, all of it, right? And the work moved from the left to the right, bounced from every list, they assigned a certain person to that list. So if the card is in your list, that's how you know that you have work to do, all right? So it made it very easy to understand when you had work to do and what exactly you had to work on. Benefits. Lots of benefits. The most important one is that it makes products easier to use and learn, right? These are all just different ways of saying the same thing, right? I could have made this two lines. It makes things easier. Makes things easier. It makes it easier to design, and it makes life easier for the users because they only have one primary sort of object to think about, right? if I want to go into Facebook, I know that most of what I want to do is a post. There's nothing else I'm going to do on Facebook. Yeah, there's other sides. Yes, there's gaming, there's other things, but the main concept is posts, right? The problem with this guy's blog, back to this guy, is that there's no way to figure this out. So what I thought through was like, how can I help people actually use this? Because his blog is mostly theory, right? So how do you use it? That's my main problem. And so I'm gonna show you guys a couple ideas, and you can tell me, Zaid, that makes sense, or Zaid, that does not make any sense at all. You just tell me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's no method. So I just made one up, right? And what I came up with was like 4 main things, right? Get the object right, and then get the details right, and then find out how the container should work. What kind of container it is? Usually it's a box, usually it's a card, right? So how does that object live inside its container? And then a stress test. You just start throwing stories at it, or you start throwing user problems at it, right? And a couple things I sort of thought of was like, okay, well, how would you get the object right? Like, what do you do in your mind, right? I think a lot about thoughts, like how, because I work with a lot of designers who are just really fast. And I'm just like, what are you doing in your brain? How are you figuring this out, right? Because again, like I said, one of the biggest things that's gonna help you get hired and stay hired is speed. Speed. How fast can you come up with design options? Come up with 2 or 3 options, look at it, iterate, look at it some more, put it up on the whiteboard, change it up some more, right? How fast can you do that? So these may not all make sense, but what I'm trying to get to is you have to look at what makes sense to put into a list. A lot of design is actually just a list. What are the objects in that list, right? Then you can take that thing and say, what has properties, details, attributes, right? In your application, what are people looking for in search? When they go to that search, what is the thing that they want to find? What is the object that they want to find, right? Another clue is what makes sense to sort and filter. What makes sense to sort and filter, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next slide because again, I want to narrow this down to like 2 or 3 lines, but I have like 9, 10 lines here, right? But if anybody gets confused, please stop and tell me. I'm gonna check the chat and see if there's any questions.
Not yet.
I'm sure it's very.
It's very active because Sarah and Trixie are like speaking like it,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, in software engineering, there's this concept of the data model. And what they do is they're trying to get clear on what objects do they have to make and what are all the details about that object, and then what does that object belong to? What are all the different things that object belongs to? Because you have levels, right? You have the object, then you have levels up and then down, right? Because that object, so for example, okay, it's like a tweet, right? So a tweet has, you know, the actual text or video, it has the person that owns it, it has comments, right? And then one level up, it can belong to a person or a list. So like if you search via hashtag, it belongs to a list, right? So that's what I'm trying to figure out with, right? Useful properties and memberships. That's all I'm trying to find out. Then usually you have some shrunk or collapsed version of it, and then you click on it, and then you get the detail of it, details page or something, or it expands or something, usually. So it's the thing that expands and collapses, right? And there's this concept called information sent. And what it is, I just copied this from the Nielsen Norman page. So if you think about Expedia.com, right? You're searching for hotels, right? Okay. What information needs to be on the list item such that you can choose, that's the one I want? That's information sent. Okay, right. So that's a choice that you have to make, right? So, for example, does the price go on there? Does the city go on there? Does the address go on there? Yeah, that all goes on the details page once you click on that little hotel entry in that list and go to the details page. Yeah, then you get rooms, pricing, all the details about that hotel and that hotel room. Sure, but when it's on the list, what goes on there? And that's an art, because you can put not enough for people to be able to pick one and make a choice, and you could put too much, where in that list the details is overwhelming, right? Does that make sense? Make sense? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So that's called, that's a technical term. That's not something I made up. That's called information sent. Okay. What else do I have in here? The container. Yeah. I'm not sure that this needs to be in there. What I mean by this is, what kind of box does it need to be in? And given the level of detail, how does the box move around? How does the box change shape? Does it make sense for the form factor? So for example, if you're on a mobile or on tablet, right? Does it make sense to put all those details in that box, right? Does it need to expand or collapse? If you're going to drag it onto a canvas, what is in the list? And then when you drag it onto the canvas, what does it expand to? So what details should be in that short list versus when you drag it over and expand it, right? When you append things to it, so tweets, you append what? Comments to it, comments or something, right? How does that work? How does that work? Usually, again, with cards, it's on the bottom, right? Okay. This is another thing I thought of. Okay, so you have to test it in some way. You have to test it in some way. So I thought, okay, well, you can just throw whatever design or whatever user problems you have. Usually that's the first two. Usually all you have when a product owner, BA, whatever assigns work to you. Usually it's requirements and user stories. User stories, i.e., as a user, I need to be able to do X so that I can accomplish X, right? So start to throw those at it and see, and basically you're trying to find if you can break it, basically. So break your design, like find ways to break it. This is sometimes called a black hat session, where you just bring in people and you show them your work and you just tell them to just like try to break it. Like, what about this? What about this? What if the user has to do this? And you have your team just throw cases at it. Edge cases, meaning, yeah, this happens like 5% of the time, but if the user needs to be able to do X, how do we do that with this design, right? Let's see. So here's one example. One of the places I worked at focused on apps for car companies. I was going to say, okay, when you take your car in for a service to get fixed or whatever, or 1,000, or a 200,000 mile, 100,000 mile checkup, you make an appointment, right? Then when you go in, there's probably a service associate, service manager, somebody with a job like that, who takes your car and you say, yeah, I have an appointment at 10. I have this problem, this problem, this problem. Okay, then you either wait in the lobby or you go home. Then the actual techs work on your car, right? And they may come back and say, this is broken. You need new brakes or something, right? You need new brakes. And then you have a back and forth. You say, go ahead and do it. And then you get your car back and you get billed, right? So this company had 5 different applications for this whole process. 5 different applications, right? This company literally had hundreds of applications. Each different task had a different, had one app to it. And this is a big problem in enterprise companies when you have what's called like sales, when what gets made is based off of what the sales staff say. This is before they have any UX people. It's just sales people and then software engineers, and that's it. So nobody's doing any sort of design. Well, what we did there was we turned that into one application, right? And we did it over like a couple weeks. Because when you think about it, appointments, you don't need a separate app for appointments, right? Appointments are just groups of services on a calendar, right? And then in the intake stage, the service offerings that the service person is trying to sell you is just like a draft state. If you think of Gmail or email, it's just a draft state, and you could type more, you can add more in there, you can change your price. It's just a draft of services, right? And then the technical details and then billing are just details. So really all you have is services, right? All you have is services. And then one level up, yes, how you put that on an interface can be on a by time. So I keep using this word, vector. So the vector is time. That's all. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna check again. I'm gonna check the chat and see if anybody has questions.
Yes.
What do you mean by play? Okay, how would you describe the, okay, do we have, we said, you say get hired to stay hired is the speed how fast you come up with design, correct? Yes. Yes. How fast can you get to the right answer? Because time is money, right? And when you're dealing with engineers, you need to be ahead of them. You need to be ahead of them. So design in general should always be ahead of engineering. Should always be ahead of engineering. So engineering should never be should never have to wait for design. In general, I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm saying that's how it is usually. That's how it is. That's just how it is. We're dealing with imperfect teams and people, right? Right? We're dealing with people. There's the sort of ideal, what you learn in a design workshop, like how things should go, right? And then there's in the actual world how things actually are. Yeah. Anyway, how would you describe the similarities, differences between interaction, primitive, and atomic design? Okay, so atomic design usually deals with interface elements. Interface elements. What we're talking about is something that can get moved around in an actual user flow that a user interacts with. We're not talking about like the ABCs of the interface itself. That's how I think about it. So let's see. So interaction design versus interface design. Make sense? Or versus like UI design. Okay. You may not have worked out the actual details. You may just have literally just a pencil sketch of just boxes, right? So that's how I would think of the difference. Now, it makes life easier if you have this atomic design. It makes life a lot easier. You can come up with objects faster, right? And that's what's so great about Google material design. That's what makes it so great, is that you can come up with ideas fast because you don't have to think about the interface, right? You can put things together and then worry about the details afterwards, or you can change it, break it as needed. What do you mean by playback on slide 20? Playback is when, okay, let's go back. Slide 20. Playback. Playback is just a term that means when I click on the thing and go to a separate page, what are the elements that tell me that I'm looking at the same thing. Okay. For example, whatever elements are on a hotel. I worked at Expedia, so that's the best place where I can think of examples. If you look at the list of hotels, right, whatever data is in those items should be at the top of the page. I should be able to re-see or review those elements very quickly. It's basically, how do I make sure I clicked on the thing that I wanted to see? That's all that is. It's just a term. It's not like an industry term or anything. It's just an idea. But when you get the object right, playback is easy. Okay. Appointments. Okay, we are done. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna like come up with ideas, okay? So we're gonna think of 4 examples. Okay. If you have to say you got added to a team, it's a hospital chain or something, right? And they say, we want to rethink how we do medical records. So what I want you guys to do is just start throwing out ideas of where do you think we should start? What is the object? What is the main object? So if you think of Legos or Minecraft, Twitter, what's the tweet in like in a medical record? What is it? Now there's no right or wrong answer. We're just trying to think out loud. We're trying to think out loud. So you can either just unmute yourself and start talking, or you can add it in the chat. It's better if you just unmute and start talking.
I believe it's the consultant or
The consultant?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the right.
There's no right. We're just talking.
Yeah.
There's no wrong. I
There's
think
no right.
it's the like a form. Maybe the primitive is like a
Recipe.
like a file, like a form, like where you put your name, where your previous disease or your all your details. There's it's a big primitive maybe, but I think that will be helpful for a medical record.
Yeah.
How about a patient?
Patient, that's a good idea. Patient file.
Yeah.
Patient file. Now, if you think of the record as a list, what's the list item? Like what's the actual list item? So in my mind, when I thought of it, I thought it was, it's like appointments. Is it appointments? And then in the appointments, you can add details like what drugs the doctor prescribed, who the doctor was, which you talked about. And I'm like, well, is that what somebody scans and looks for? I don't know. I just thought, and these are hard on purpose. So
Yeah.
I thought of things that are hard. I'm just like, what would be hard? I'm like, medical records. That's really hard because there's so much information, right? So let's say you call the doctor's office and you say, I need to make an appointment. Make an appointment. And the office person searches your name or your insurance number. And I wonder if they see appointments or if they get your file, like you mentioned, that has all of your details in that. In your file, is that organized by appointment? Because appointment just means by time. Is it?
Yeah, like
organized by time? I don't know. Yeah. Sorry,
that's what I. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is like you say, like the medical one it's huge. It depends on which angle we want to go about thinking of a primitive. But in your example of if I called in, yeah, I definitely think one, my file would show up in their system. And then two, it would show the last time I was there. And then what I was there for. So it'd be like patient history will probably be key. And then from that history, as you know, going to the doctor, so that, if you do your annual like physical, it's annual. So if you're calling around a certain time, then that system probably already will alert them to say like, oh, these are like potential things Dale's probably calling for. It's close to his 1 year, so he's probably coming in for his physical, or it could be looking at the time of the year. Oh, it's fall, so we could be coming in for like booster shots for school or something like that. But yeah, I definitely think in the system, the first thing the nurse would see is probably my history, and then the last time I visited would be my first guess of what they would first look at.
Yeah. Carly says sicknesses, diseases, type of doctor visited, and dates. That's interesting. Current. Adam says current.
If you have a medical record or you have a medical problem, you actually have a disease. What is your problem today? Because could be possible that is something according to your constant disease, maybe, or something that happens because of that disease that you have before, or maybe just COVID, you know.
Yeah. Okay. How about a history app? So History Channel hires you and they say, we want to do like the history app. And you can look up anything from the beginning of recorded history, archaeology, anything, right?
Sorry, it's not here.
Like ancient history all the way up to like now. Ancient history to now. So when I was thinking of it, I was thinking of like, oh, it's like important events, I guess. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? Oh, okay. Adam said events. Yeah, events.
Events.
I think that will be a great place a great client to build an MVP maybe, and you can do it like a game. Like, for season 1, we can start with like, I don't know, if you want to say dinosaurs or the Big Bang or whatever, and if the app is it's like a nice app and tests well with the users, maybe season 2, I don't know.
Yeah.
World War II, World War whatever.
What sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. That was it.
So one thing I thought of was, okay, well, not everything. So what's an event?
What kind of event, right?
What's an event? What is it? Like how do you define an event? I don't know.
An event could involve people or not. Like there could be an event that took place on the planet, but nobody was affected, but it did happen. Like
events. Yeah.
Like there could be an asteroid strike that happened, but nobody was around in Antarctica at the time. But it didn't affect anybody's, because it was not large enough to, but it happened. But
anyway, they have time and they have.
Are you saying I'm out of time?
No. Okay. They are in the time. No, you're not in the time.
All right, time.
Yeah,
even like category, like you have to think about what in history, what are we talking about? Are we talking about war? Are we talking about geological events? Are we talking about what's going to be human things, nature, or historic events like Olympics, the first airplane, the first car, like when was the first weapon made? So we definitely need categories so people can kind of like drill down into, and even to that effect on time. I think the primitive there would have to be, you have to start with the day, and then from that day you can zoom out to a week, and then from that week you can zoom out to a month, and then from that month you can zoom out to a year. And then from there, you can do like a decade, then like, however much you want to go. Then you start getting into centuries from like 1700s, 1800s.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to time, like the primitive would be a day because you have to have like where it started and then where it ends, just like the time of that event from beginning to end.
Il Dico, I'm saying that right. She said
Ildiko, yeah.
Ildiko, sorry. Event components. So she's talking about, okay, well, what are the components of an event? So she said time range, and then actors, who, what, was affected, and summary. That's interesting. So I wonder if one way to work through it is to like immediately start to think about the details of it. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's one way to do it. It's to say, okay, well, this has too much details, so we need to like go one level down. And if we go too far down, you're like, oh, that's not enough detail. Let's go a little bit up. And you kind of like try each a level. You know what I mean? So for example, Dale, you could, maybe you would try, you would start with like a decade. You know what I mean? Like try, oh, that's too much detail. Let's go with, every century, But then in ancient history, you can't do that. Right?
Yeah.
You can't do that. So I don't know. So maybe it's events. Maybe, I don't know. I got this idea because I was listening to an archaeology lecture. I don't know why. I just randomly happened upon an archaeology lecture, and it was fascinating. It's fascinating. I was like, if somebody made an app for all this stuff, how would that be organized? Yeah. Education, there's a lot of education apps. So we have a lot of like ideas you can pull from, right? But if you're doing, okay, so yeah, this is too broad. What about college education? College education. Let's say we couldn't go back to college ever. The virus, college is closed, it's all online forever, right? Forever. Now what? So if all of college is like online, you already have the idea of classes, right? You already have the idea of classes, right? What if you get new, if you could think of some new way of organizing what you learn, maybe it could be by job. Like I want to be a business owner, right? And so maybe the system could take those classes and remove things and move things around and only give you the classes you need for that. You take that in 1 year and then you're done. You know what I mean? Because there's lots of classes in college you don't need, like you never use like in your actual job life, right? So if we're going back to the world of trades, apprenticeships, practical education, like what would change? You know what I mean? So anyway, there's no answers to all these things. We're just talking. We're just talking. But yes, Ildiko, it absolutely is object oriented. Yes, that's where this comes from. Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for mentioning that. Moment in time. Okay, so Sarthak says a moment in time, then grouped into complete events or grouped by an important individual, and then grouped in a month years old. Oh, that's interesting. Moment in time, then grouped into complete events, grouped by an important individual. Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Or a certain group of people, like individual or certain tribe or a group of people. That's cool. I like that. Last one is CrossFit. So they already have this idea of WOD, workout of the day. So they already have this idea of workout of the day, right? is that obvious? Is that like if you go to make an app, is that what it is? It's a list of WADs?
It can be, but then I think a pitfall there, you don't know that person's like level. Like, is this someone that works out every day? Is it someone that's getting back into exercising after a few years? Is this somebody, also, is this some, regardless of like level, you know, what are you training for? Like, are you training just for overall fitness? Are you training to run a marathon? Are you training for a specific sport? Yeah, but I think the idea of workout of the day is that primitive, and then from there it's the workout of the day for a swimmer, the workout of the day for a runner, the workout of the day for a marathon, things of that nature.
The thing is, like, you can put in the beginning, you can put your goal and your objective. So according to that, the application normally gives you the amount of exercise daily to get that objective in what time, you know.
Sarthak says exercise, then workout, then a schedule, regime, and then main goal. Yeah. Again, there's no right answer here. I'm just trying to bring up this idea that it's something you have to sort of think about. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And then there might be self-guided workouts where, like, you have ones that are organized, that are guided by someone, and then there's other ones where you're like, hey, I'm gonna do my own workout based off of the material, but make my own decisions on what I'm gonna do for the workout.
Yeah, and that's one thing that helps as well, is that the object, usually you can modify it, right? Just like a tweet, right? The first tweet, so the first tweets were just text, right? Then they added pictures, then they added a video, and I think you can like buy things now. Can you? I think there's even other, And the other cool thing I forgot to mention, in a lot of apps, the ad is also a post. Facebook, the ad is a post. LinkedIn, the ad is just a type of post, right? It's just a post that you didn't make, that the system serves up to you. You know what I mean? So LinkedIn does this a lot. They make posts out of things that other people like, things that people comment on. Oh my God. Topics that you're interested in, ads, companies you follow, people you follow, that's obvious. Companies you follow. Yeah. So they do this a lot. So that's actually a good app to check out without it being like too much information. I think they get that sort of detail right. You know what I mean? So, all right. Well, that's it. That's all I had. Were there any other questions? Because I think we're at, oh shoot, it's 8:30. That's all I had. And if you want to sort of talk to me like in person, or not in person, but on like Zoom, you can just book a call with me, and then LinkedIn, you just send a connection request. But yeah, as I improve this, Leticia, I'll send it out, and then maybe in the future, once I get it more clear, because this is really too many slides. If I can make it really, really clear, then
you can create like a series. Actually, you are creating like a series about this, because I believe that this can extend, 4 or 5 different meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, so this is one of many thinking tools
Yeah.
that I have in my back pocket that I've sort of picked up over time. I watch people work. I ask them like, sometimes I just ask people like, how do you work? Like, you know, how do you think through problems? What do you do? I know one guy at Xbox. He he thinks through everything in Photoshop. Everything. It's just, it's like amazing. But he can work out everything. Um,
Right.
he doesn't use Axure. He doesn't wireframe. He doesn't sketch. He doesn't do any of that stuff. But he has to come up with lots of designs. He has to come up with a lot of concepts. So he comes up with concepts really, really fast. And then he uses like kind of like a process of elimination as he throws the cases that are in his head. He throws the case at it. And he's like, that's one is that won't work, that won't work, that won't work, that won't work, that won't work. It's probably this one and that one, that one. Right. Okay, a question from Wen Song. Other than speed that gives you an edge as a designer, what are the other factors that give you an extra edge over others? Multidisciplinary, soft skills, hard skills. Soft skills, getting to the real constraints and requirements faster. Getting to the actual constraints. Because some constraints, you can poke a hole in them. You can push back on them. So the next talk I'm going to give is called Inner Game. That's really what I think. It's inner game. It's like the inner mind game. Like not being able to say, I don't know, being able to just bring up ideas and not care if anybody laughs at you or say a dumb idea, not being afraid to push back, saying, I think the dev team is lying. You don't say that, but you talk to them, like in a way where you can, I'll find out when they say, we can't do that, that's not possible. And then you go on to like CodePen and look it up and you're like, yeah, it is, here it is. It's very common to do that. It's very common that, people have other reasons for saying, no, we can't do it that way, right? So it's the, I guess like working with people, yeah, and being able to just push back, say, I don't know, saying, can you show me this? Asking questions, like being good at asking questions to get to the bottom of thing, like being a good investigator, like a police investigator almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being able to poke holes and because what's common is that you'll get salespeople, product people, VPs who bring up ideas, being able to work them through, being able to take them through a process and say, that's interesting. I wonder how that would work if we had to take it through this use case, that use case, that use case. So being able to take a design idea through the use cases. Like there are people who can do that in their heads. I cannot. I can't do it. Right? There are people who can just they go like this. They go, no, that wouldn't work, and they have all the moving parts in their head. I can't do that. I have to sketch everything out. I can't. But just being able to take it through cases. Yeah.
And the thing is, in the same time, like how to conduct a discussion with others, like with other stakeholders when they are really strained and really like tough when they thinking like, yeah, they're in the right trail, but
yeah,
you don't know. Neither me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sarah says interaction design.org is a great resource.
Yeah.
Oh, because somebody asked.
The book.
Somebody wanted to start off interaction design. I like this book called Thoughts on Interaction Design. It doesn't teach you anything. Thoughts on Interaction Design. It's not a teaching book. It's a how we got here book. So from UNIVAC, from like the beginning of computing, also interaction design by John Calco. It's a really short book, easy to read. Again, it's not how to do design, it's how we got here. Like how we got to this place called like UX. Like what happened in the past 40 years, right? Even longer. And then for like interface design, the primer I always tell people about personally that helped me a lot is Cadence and Slang. It's written, it's a self published book by Nick DiSabato. And so the reason why I liked it is because he took the 10 most important IXD books and boiled them down into like a super short 200-page, very thin book. I have a print copy here. I have a PDF because when you buy the print copy, he gives you the a PDF. So if anybody wants the PDF, just ask me, just email me, and I'll send you the PDF. Actually, I wonder.
I put it in Discord. We can share it on Discord to people.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's a really good book. It's a really good sort of primer. It's a good primer.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't read a lot of books. I just learn on the job. You know what I mean? So, and I have a lot of books. I just don't read them. Now, the Bible of interaction design is called About Face. It's a big 400 or 500 page green cover book, and it's by Alan Cooper. So if you can read that book, it's very dry. That's like everything, basically. That's everything about face.
Thank you.
But Nick covers that book. You know what I mean? So he helps to boil down the key points in that book. Yeah. And again, I don't like to recommend books that I haven't actually read. You know what I mean? So I've read Thoughts on Interaction Design, and I've read Cadence and Slang. But I've learned a lot just from working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm trying to think of what other books.
During our daily work, we find kind of books.
Yeah. Oh, okay. One more. Sorry. A Book Apart. That series. That's a really good series because it's bite size and it's like a set of 13 different books, but it's for modern. It's for like what people are working on now, which is modern, web apps, like web standards, like people who are working on websites and web apps. So that's a really good book series because it's easy to read. That's why it's easy to read.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can get like plan for next meeting side with you, and I believe we passed a little bit more time than the normal, but don't care. I enjoy so much to hear you, so that is why we spend more time. So thank you for your time. It was really good, and we are going to share those books. I'm going to see if we can get some PDF free for bring to the table in Discord channel. And yeah, Zaid, you are. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, and don't forget to come and Happy Hour Friday, this Friday. That could be really fun. Yeah.
Okay, what time is it?
At 7:30.
7:30. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you everybody. See you next week. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye bye.